welcome everyone. Thrilled to have you with us on the fourth of the Healthier and More Sustainable Diets learning series. A great session for you today on health and food waste. This is the first time we're actually doing a session bringing health and food waste together. So I know we'll have a lot to learn. There'll be lots of questions, and it's still a learning process for us as well here at the Consumer Goods Forum. So please don't hesitate to challenge, to ask questions and interact during today's webinar. So how to do that? Of course, you're all very used to this now, but just a quick reminder, obviously Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, or we can use the chat, no problem at all. I'll make sure I personally will follow up with any questions that we don't get to today. Email is here, hw@theconsumergoodsforum.com. We probably, because it will be a big crowd, we probably won't unmute people, but if you have a burning question that you're dying to ask, raise your hand and we will do our best to make sure that we get to that. So just a little bit of context before we get into the content. Where is this all coming from? So last year, the Collaboration for Healthier Lives Coalition of Action here at the Consumer Goods Forum saw more and more the convergence of health and sustainability coming together. And so a small core team, a global team of experts came together and looked at, well, what could that mean for members of the Consumer Goods Forum if we try to drive action and impact around healthier and more sustainable diets. We looked at, of course, existing evidence, what was there in the market, and in particular with the FAO and WHO. And we agreed that there was three critical elements that we needed to include in that to support a balanced and diverse food consumption with appropriate nutrients and calorie intake, to look towards diets that have lower environmental pressure and impact, and make sure that they're accessible, affordable, equitable, and I should say desirable and tasty for all. And we know this is a big transition that we're working towards all around the globe. So what the core team did was they looked at 5 key priority areas where we thought that we could have positive impact and work towards the SDGs if we looked at more plants on the plate, empowering consumer behavior and consumer choice for healthier and more sustainable products, better for you dairy and meat, right sizing consumption, whether it's overconsumption or underconsumption, and health and food waste. And so every 6 weeks we have these learning series focused on these topics, and today is the very first session that we have on health and food waste. So that's just a little bit of context from the Healthier Lives Coalition, and I'll hand it over to Ignacio just to give you some context on Food Waste Coalition and how we're starting to see that convergence between the two. So Ignacio, over to you.
Thank you, Sharon, and a very good day to everyone. For those that don't know me, this is Ignacio. I've been leading environmental sustainability at the Consumer Goods Forum for the past few years now. So I'm responsible for the Food Waste Coalition. So obviously, if you think about the membership of the Consumer Goods Forum, retailers and manufacturers for whom food is very relevant, what's the challenge that we have in front of us? So today we produce around 4 billion tons of food to feed our population, and yet more than a third of these, around 1.5 billion, is wasted. So beyond the obvious missed opportunity to feed the millions of people, this has a huge environmental footprint, even more so now that we know about the embedded carbon in that food that is wasted, right? So together with the impact of its disposal, indeed, if food waste were a country, it would be the 3rd largest emitter of greenhouse gas in the world. So reducing food loss and waste generates a triple win in our view. It can save money for retailers, manufacturers, for farmers, for households. Of course, it can help feed more people, and it can alleviate pressure on natural resources like water, like land, and of course the climate. It's not the only solution to climate change, but it's a very important one to address. So at the CGF, we've been working on this topic since 2015 with our first resolution linked to the SDG 12.3 on collective action, focusing on own operations of retailers and manufacturers, but we're also looking beyond our own operations to encourage other value chain actors to reduce food waste. In this same spirit, we, the CGF staff with some of you and the coalition, have been actively addressing food loss at the post-harvest and on-farm level over the past 18 months by engaging with multiple suppliers, particularly on fresh produce, on collaborative, innovative, and effective food loss prevention strategies. So the relevance of this webinar, obviously, and the overall effort to bring together food waste and health and wellness is that solutions to the current food system issues lie in the integrated actions that Sharon was mentioning. So policy coherence between health, social, environmental, and economic goal is absolutely vital. Some countries are integrating health and sustainability in national nutrition guidelines, and there is an increasing number of innovative actions to shorten the food supply chains, particularly now in an inflationary period, and bring together all the relevant stakeholders. So I'll stop here. Hope the context is useful, and I'll be happy to come afterwards. As Sharon said, please ask questions. There's not such thing as a stupid question. The quest for knowledge historically includes stupid questions, which are the best. So I encourage you to ask, and thank you very much, Sharon.
Brilliant. So we have a great panel of experts with us here today, and we are, I think, all learning on this journey. And I just want to thank Santiago, Pablo, and Maria Teresa for helping us on this learning journey to see what we can do from measurement through to consumer consumer education and support through to food solidarity. So we're going to take you through a journey which is the learnings are coming from Latin America. And before we go to Latin America, I'm just going to take 1 minute to go through some research that we're going to be sharing in 3 weeks' time at our global summit in Dublin from our partners from Capgemini. They've done a global study on food waste with input from multiple stakeholders, whether that's you listening on this webinar, executives from the industry, with external stakeholders, with consumers in multiple countries, actually not in Latin America, but multiple countries you can see here on the bottom of the screen. And they also did a huge look at social media and what customers are looking for in the space of food waste. So many of you will know this, the consciousness around this topic has grown hugely. And there's often consumers an expectation that industry leaders and retailers and manufacturers that you make this easy for consumers. And there is quite a negative, let's say, vibe or connotation on social media when people are talking about food waste, differences between what industry is doing as actions and maybe consumer expectations to go even further on those actions. We've also seen, which I thought something that we found very interesting here, was around the household food waste. And we saw that there was definitely an area that we could come together and work with all of our retailers and manufacturers, the great resources that they have around whether that's sharing insights with suppliers, with consumers and shoppers, and all partners along the supply chain. And then finally, Capgemini, they will be sharing some of their solutions and their ideas on how we can move this forward by engaging consumers, working along supply chain, using technology to its best advantage, and monitoring and reporting. Obviously, we know how critical this is. And I'll use this bridge to kick us off with our first speaker, Santiago, who has really taken on this ambition to set, monitor, and report on food waste across their chains, and also sharing all of the learnings and insights with others. So I will pause there just to say the full research will be available at our global summit in Dublin in June. And Santiago, I'm thrilled to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Sharon. So I'll share my screen. Okay, is it visible now? Yes. Okay, thank you so much for this invitation. We are so happy to share our experience. In Grupo Nutresa, we have a higher purpose. It's building a better world where development is for everyone. We firmly believe that if we want to build a future, we need to work with allies, and stakeholders are the most important people to do that. I would like to tell you a little bit of my organization so you can have in mind what is the size of this thing. In Grupo Nutresa, we have operations in 17 different countries, as you see in this map. We sell our products in 78 countries, and we have 47 manufacturing facilities and around 200 logistic facilities. We are a group of 47,000 employees. And telling you a bit of sustainability, we are members of the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. We had the highest score, and we have been recognized twice with the gold class in the yearbook of the Standard & Poor's. Our organization, we have 8 businesses: cold cuts, biscuits, chocolate, coffee, ice cream, pasta. We have restaurants, and we have a last business that is called Tres Monteluquetti, that is our operation in Chile and Mexico. So we are a big company. We have a lot of facilities to work on. So this is our main challenge. And what about food loss and waste reduction? Last year, we performed our materiality analysis, and we found that this topic is very important. So it's the first time we have this topic as a material topic. And this is our strategy to tackle down food and loss in our chain. First is to set a scope. We are going to set this scope every year. Right now, we are working on our own operations. Then we have to measure. We do it by now, but weighting all these food loss and waste. Then we have actions, and the idea is to reduce first the loss. We have the goal of reducing 30% to 2030 and 50% of the waste to 2030. And lately to share in our report. So this is our circle of how we work. And let me tell you a bit of this. First, in the scope, as I already told you, we decide what we are going to work during the year. We have a policy we think is very important because all the organization has to be targeted in the same way. So we have the endorsement of the senior management team. Each of the president of the businesses, they are committed to reduce food loss and waste. Is applicable to all our operations, and with the value chains we work, and we aim to develop capabilities. We also have our Fundación Nutresa, and through that we deliver food to the food banks, and I'm going to tell you a bit of that because we are changing a bit the model. It's not just giving food. We want to enhance the experience of the people that is benefit from those food banks. And I think this is very important because we thought that it was going to be easy just to tell the businesses, I need the information. It wasn't easy. We have been 3 years working in the understanding of this. So what we have a detailed training. We train each people that is working on this commitment, even when these people from the environmental side, from the quality side, they understand first what is not food loss and waste, what is an edible part, what is a non-edible part. So we use the FLW protocol. And let me tell you, it's not easy. It's like when you are a teacher, you have to teach every day, you have to review. And something that helps us through this is that we have a specific FLW intranet just for the information that is around this topic. So when people have a question they don't understand or they forgot something, they can enter to this intranet. This is just specific for food loss and waste. Then what we do, as the amount of information is too big, at the beginning we were working on Excel, it's impossible. So now we have a software that is called Mero. And with this, each person in each of the facilities, they have a screen, they enter all the information, and this software summarizes everything and gives us the numbers. And that's the information we use to make innovation and to think, what can I do with this? What is the material that is getting lost as the biggest in the businesses? So we have all the information here, and I think information is the most important thing. So then we share in our report. So let me tell you a bit of our examples. First, as I told you, we work with the Association of Food Banks of Colombia, ABACO. At the beginning, we just give them the food that we wanted to save, but now we are working with them, teaching our experience in quality and logistics, because we want that everyone that enjoy a product of Grupo Nutresa can do it in the best way. But now we are changing this a bit, because we are aware that diets must include everything, food, vegetables and fruits. So we are working with food banks now with something that is called Germinar, that is a program that teach vulnerable people to grow their own food. And we are teaching them how to include vegetables and fruits in the diet, and to include also everything that we give to them. So with this program, we save every year at least 1,000 tons of food. We know it's not a lot, it's 10% of the whole food we are losing in Grupo Nutresa, but it's a good start. And with this new topic that we are including, we think we are going to have a better impact. Something we already also found is that our clients, as they handle our products, sometimes they have issues in the stocking, in the handling, in the storage. So we cannot do that. We cannot do something with this. And the food that was lost in this topic was almost 1,000 tons. What we did, we made them co-responsible of this matter, and like magic, half of the food loss disappeared. Why? Because we work with them. They saw that they can save money, also save food, but this is a matter of economic development. So they saw that they have an opportunity to work with us. And as I already told you, we cut down to the half the food loss in this topic. And with the information, we have another example. Wheat bran is a byproduct of our biscuit business, and it was difficult to eat. What we saw, that we have an opportunity there, we saw that there was a big amount of this material. So what we thought, what can we do to include this on the diet? Because it's rich in fiber, zinc. What can we do? We transform this product. We saw that we have an opportunity, and now we have a new product with something that was lost in the past. This is a non-edible part, and sometimes it's more difficult to work with those materials, but with information we saw it was possible. So those are some of the examples we are doing right now. If you have any question, I will be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Santiago. Before we move to Pablo, maybe I can just ask about how you're working with your suppliers. They represent quite a big impact in your supply chain. Could you comment on the work that you're doing with maybe some of your own suppliers?
Yes. Right now, as I already told you, we are working inside the organization, but we have, for example, in cocoa beans, in some of the materials we use on restaurants, we have direct communication with suppliers. So we work together. What we are doing is to identifying what makes these suppliers to lose food. And we are looking to eliminate some quality topics that make them to lose food. Because, for example, when we have a tomato and we need it in a specific color, for example, that in hamburgers is important, when they don't accomplish this target in the color, for example, they lose the other tomatoes that doesn't have this quality. So what we do is identify first this thing with them. What happened when we, for example, make a quality requirement like this, and what we do with those food? No, we cannot lose that food. So what we do right now is identifying those things. We hope in the future to measure, because it's difficult right now inside. So we think it's going to be more challenging to do it with suppliers, but that is the next step.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pablo, let's move to you and your experience in sharing around this topic.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Hope everyone is going well. So I'm going to try to cover a little bit the topics that Sharon challenged us to present. So then, just to give you a quick background of Grupo Éxito. Grupo Éxito is the leader company on retail in Colombia. We also operate in other countries in Latin America. But for this scenario and for food waste, the retail has a relevant role to play. Through the Consumer Goods Forum, we are also engaging with the Food Waste Coalition of Action, not only improving our practices, but also learning from other retailers and producers worldwide to implement actions. Our starting point is also, of course, the superior purpose of the company. Our purpose as a private sector company, it's nourishing Colombia of opportunities. And Colombia, it's a country that has a dilemma. Most of the times when we are talking about the food waste, and it happens a lot when we are with Ignacio in the sustainability committees and all these topics, the main aspect is the environmental issues that food waste has. But in the developed world, they already cover the social challenges that the developing world is already facing. In that sense, I want to split my presentation in 3 chapters. The first one is about food solidarity and how a country that already has 12 million inhabitants in poverty, and that not all of them are having the capacities to have 3 meals a day, is a major challenge. So in that sense, food solidarity is a huge opportunity. The other point is how can we operate and maximize our actions in the operation? And finally, how can we educate, create culture, and mobilize our consumers towards the food waste prevention? So going to the beginning and following Santiago's answer, Grupo Éxito, when we created a few years ago the national network of food banks, which is called ABACO in Colombia, and now it's an institution that is led by many NGOs nationwide, where our Éxito Foundation is highly involved. The company has been most of the time the major food donor of the country nationwide. So we usually donate nearly 2,000 tons of food a year. Last year, that figure was a little bit less, given some efficiencies that we have gained. But the most desirable part of the process is, of course, not reaching food donation, even less going to landfill and getting the opportunity to sell the product, but of course reaching this opportunity of sharing the food with the people that need the most is a huge process for us. So I'm going to share my screen, show some of the points that I was mentioning. I think you're going to see it already. Yeah. So with the context that I presented, of course, so we have a major challenge on food solidarity and also engaging with agricultural suppliers. In that sense, Éxito is one of the largest suppliers of the largest donors of the country on food to the food banks. We benefit nearly 500,000 Colombians with the food donation. Last year, this figure was 1,395,000 tons, which was a little bit less than we are used to, but it is also highly related with some efficiencies that we have implemented that I will cover in a sec. We donate food to 23 food banks and 240 social institutions in the country. And there is also a good point that here that is a context of the Consumer Goods Forum, and Ignacio probably will remember that when we were in Portugal, 2018, one of the panels was about IT connecting stores with food banks. So we helped to develop in Colombia a startup which is called Eat Cloud. 100% of our stores are connected through this platform. So it works as when we are having some food to be taken out of the shelves, our employees put the information on the system, and automatically this information is sent to the closest institutions or food banks. In that sense, they can take the order and go as soon as possible for taking this product still in good quality for being consumed for any human being. So that's a huge point. But also, and probably one of the major challenges that actually the Food Waste Coalition is inviting us is to partner with food suppliers. We still have multiple challenges to measure our fast-moving gross products and its producers, but in the agricultural sector, we still not have the capacity to measure 100% of the food waste of our suppliers. But what we are doing is we have already invited them to participate in a program that we created together with the National Federation of Food Banks in Antioquia department, one of the states in Colombia. The program is called Reagro. This program allows our suppliers to donate food which, by any reason, quality or aesthetics or any reason, but conserving the good human capacities for being to be consumed. So these products are donated directly to the food banks, which is a great opportunity to connect some of these surpluses with necessities as well. So as I mentioned before, this chapter covers, like, from the Colombian perspective, the social needs and the major challenge that, of course, having food waste is not a desirable point. However, it is not enough. So I have a video I'm not going to share because it's in Spanish, but we already have developed a video to also invite our customers to be aware of this situation. The other point, which is going to the operation, we still have, let's say that for the retail, we have 5 steps to think about that. So we need to think about food suppliers, agricultural suppliers, and like the mass consumption suppliers. And in that chapter, we have a major challenge to deal with. The other is the logistics and our distribution centers. Then we have the operation, our own operation. And finally, we have the consumer. So we made an alliance, a partnership with RAP and WWF, and we are doing an analysis of our full operation in terms of food waste. I'm not going to go into details, but just to give just a quick information. So what we did is we select the products with the highest breakdowns. We collect the information individually of those products in the stores and in the distribution centers. Then we had an analysis of how the data is performing, and we analyzed that data. After that, we had a survey with those suppliers, with our procurement vice presidents, and with the operation. So each of the managers of the stores were invited to participate. At the moment, we are in the stage of the pilot. We are implementing some pilots. We will run the pilot, and then we will collect the data and make some plans or some action plans. What's important, and the photo of the banana, it's not because I was just creative. So banana is the main product that we waste in our operation, and Colombia is a major producer of banana. So in that sense, we are focusing a lot of efforts on that specific product. However, there are many more, and of course, we will work on that. And one of the main issues, and I want to raise this, Sharon, here, it's that there is a dilemma very hard to difficult with, specifically in the fruits and vegetables area, is that when you touch the package of the product, the food waste is the main consequence. So we eliminate, for instance, the plastic cover of the product. So in that sense, we reduce the ethylene or the pheromones, or also the dehydration of the product. However, food waste increase. So plastic waste and food waste is always in the balance. And of course, it's not an easy it's not an easy decision. So I just want to put that point. Of course, we can go beyond on the questions. Finally, and just to try to cover the three points I mentioned at the beginning, we are partnering with our consumers as well. So most of the times when we are talking about food waste, we are thinking about others. So the problem is that they are not doing enough. But here, everyone is involved. And that's a message that we are spreading. The other video that I mentioned, but it's in Spanish, is always going to the consumer, going to the households. And here we create a strategy that we're really proud of. And we did a huge analysis with universities, with some partners, with some consultants. And we developed something, one of the premium brand of the company is called Carulla brand. And we create Carulla Fresh system. So this system allows our customers to understand why there are some combinations of fruits that make the product ripe easier or lower. You know, you can manage that by just displacing the fruits. And we have also implemented that in our stores. But as I said before, we want to take the consumer. So this is a slide which is in Spanish, but I don't want to get into detail because I have a video that probably will explain it like way better than I can do it. But it's just trying to see that the ethylene of a product, the way the product connects with the dehydration, for instance, has consequences on the shelf life or of the life of the product in the house of our customers. So we create like an educational program for this process. I think I did not share my, okay, I already did. I already shared the video, so the audio. So let me know if you can hear, and I'm gonna present this short video.
¿Te ha pasado esto? En el mundo se desperdician 715 millones de toneladas de frutas y verduras al año. Una de las causas es el deterioro natural en donde se ve involucrado el etileno, un gas que algunas frutas y verduras emiten naturalmente y que pueden dañarlas sin que lo sepas. En Carulla encontramos la forma de usarlo a nuestro favor para mantenerlas frescas por más tiempo. Presentamos Sistema Fresco, una guía de emparejamiento que ayuda a identificar cuáles deberían ir juntas o separadas para que se maduren o conserven por más tiempo. Para esto, las clasificamos en dos grupos, las que emiten más y las que emiten menos. Y construimos una guía para que puedas entender el método ideal de almacenamiento para que guardes tus frutas y verduras en casa. ¿Quieres tomates más maduros? Júntalos con unas manzanas. ¿Naranjas que se conserven más? Ponlas al lado de un limón. Sistema Fresco también te ayuda a identificar el lugar óptimo de conservación, temperatura ambiente, refrigerador o congelador. Y para que nunca olvides cómo puedes aplicar el sistema, encuentra esta guía en nuestros canales digitales y redes sociales. Carulla, la vida más fresca.
Okay, so I think that's it on my side. Sharon, I just wanted to present quite the overall picture of a retailer that we are, of course, having multiple challenges, but at the same time having actions in each of the phases that we can work with. But this one is quite innovative and is a way to educate. It's a technical process, but making it easier to make it easy to our customers, having the information online, which is available. We developed this campaign with Ogilvy, the marketing agency of Carulla. And of course, it's also a great opportunity to the consumers to be informed.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And great to see kind of the three clusters of action that you have in Exito. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions, and particularly I will put the link for that video into the chat so you can look at that, whether you're looking at the recording afterwards, you're listening to us live, and we'll come back. But I'd love to see, have you had any customer feedback on that, or what do people think already about that? So we'll come back to you with questions on that. And you started off with food solidarity, and I want to move to Maria Teresa now. Let's move to Mexico, a challenge that we have in multiple countries all over the world. I'd love to get your views from BAMX that we're thrilled to collaborate with as well. Yeah, if you can give us some insights into the Mexican context, and then we'll come back to all of you for the Q&A section. So over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I want to say thank you to our allies, Consumer Goods Forum, for the invitation. It is an honor to me to be part of this event and share food banking's perspective on behalf of BAMX, the Mexican Food Banking Network. And I also want to say thank you to Pablo and Santiago, Nutresa, Grupo Éxito. Thank you very much for your commitment with food banks in Latin America. As a main conversation topic today, can you see my screen? Can you see my presentation? Yes, okay. As a main topic for the conversation today is health and food waste. I want to start by telling you that interactions between food system, food security, and health are active all the time. Malnutrition in all forms, ranging from undernourishment to obesity and associated diet-related diseases, is one of the leading causes of death worldwide, while food systems often have major environmental impacts. Current sanitary crisis and economic crisis are increasing hunger and food insecurity. Rapid global population growth and increases in demand for food and changes in dietary habits create challenges to provide universal access to healthy food without creating negative environmental, economic, and social impacts. Let's see that food insecurity has 4 elements: availability, access, use, and stability. The lack of any of these elements means that people is living in hunger or food insecurity. It doesn't matter that we live in a world where there is enough food for everyone. And we must realize that there is hunger and food insecurity in low-income countries, but also in high-income countries. The state of food insecurity, food security and nutrition in the world 2021 by FAO includes updated results indicated that in 2019, at the global level, the cost of a healthy diet was $4.04 per person per day. One of the reasons because people doesn't get access to food is the cost of a healthy diet. The cost of a healthy diet increased by 7.9% globally between 2017 and 2019, but differences are notable across regions, as you can see in this table, in this chart. All regions except Africa present lower increases than the global average. The second largest increases were in North America and Europe, and Latin America and the Caribbean, which both had an average regional increase of 6.8%. Another aspect regarding food system is the increasing volume of food loss and waste. As has been mentioned, it is a major issue that affects in 3 levels: economy, society, and environment. And to elaborate different actions against food loss and waste, Environmental Protection Agency in USA defines the food recovery hierarchy, where we can see the most recommended initiative. And the second one is to feed hungry people with the surplus food with 2 food banks. As a non-profit organization that operates independently of any government, food banks rescue and redistribute more than 800,000 tons of edible food to more than 40 million people at a global level. We operate the most effective, transparent, and more important food rescue model to address these twin problems: hunger and food loss and waste. Rooted in the socioeconomic and cultural context of the communities in which they are formed, food banks are an essential lifeline to millions, helping address the 4 dimensions of food security: availability, access, utilization, and stability over time. We rescue food from all the different stages of the food value chain to integrate the most nutritious food packages that are delivered to people living in food shortage or hunger. When we deliver the food to communities or agencies, we also bring different programs aiming to strengthen our beneficiaries as individuals, families, and communities. That is how we influence in each one of the dimensions of food security. And the best part is that we do it by working with our allies, with our partners, most of them companies in the private sector, such as Nutresa and Éxito. Based on the premise that there is enough food for everyone and nobody should live in hunger, As food bankers, we are, with our allies, food rescuers, avoiding food loss and waste along value chain to get the chance of nourish hungry people. Our job has an important impact in at least 7 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. In most direct manner, SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and SDG 12.3, Halving Food Loss and Waste by 2030. And of course, SDG 17, we couldn't aim our mission without the commitment and the trust of thousands of companies, organizations, and individuals around the world, our allies and donors. Food sourcing is a majority activity we have around the world, but I want to share some specifics about BAMX, the Mexican Food Banking Network. We are always looking for new partners to join our cause through food or economic funds, donations, and we sign donation agreements with them. We must know that every single day, thousands of food bankers and volunteers go to farm fields, markets, hotels, restaurants, supermarkets, and companies that produce or sell food to collect donations that are going to be delivered to vulnerable people. We are a network of 54 food banks working in 30 of the 32 states in our country, more than 1,300 employees and almost 5,000 volunteers. We are one of the largest networks in the world. We see the amount of food being wasted every year as an opportunity to transform millions of lives. This is edible food that everyone could eat. However, our food system and the economic conditions avoid food access to more than 28 million Mexicans every day. Food loss and waste also means an important environmental footprint regarding water use, and also by the fact that 36 million tons of CO2 are produced every year in our country, where almost 24 million tons of food are wasted. We are one of the founders of the Global Food Banking Network, and we are a solution with more than 30 years of experience in our country. With all the job that we do, we assist 1.9 million vulnerable people, but there are 27 million more that need food assistance. Last year, we distributed more than 135,000 tons nationwide. And as you can see, most of this food goes directly to people in almost 8,000 communities. 51% of the food that we rescue is fruit and vegetable from the farm fields. Our relationship with communities allow us to deliver other programs, and nutritional ones are very important. We believe that working together with the beneficiaries, we get the chance to improve the knowledge and habits and good practices regarding nutritional use of food, health, and food security. But there are also other types of programs aiming to promote development and the communities. Our food bankers do a great job with that. This is a very important value for our model. Some of our international collaborations are focused on finding new ways to increase awareness about food waste and hunger situation in the world. We have got the chance to work with IDB, World Bank, the Waste Resources Action Program. We are partners with them too, as Grupo Éxito just mentioned it, among others. Right now, we are so proud and thankful with Consumer Goods Forum and the program Mexico Ponte Bien, Get Well Mexico, to provide Mexican consumers with information that allows them to adopt healthier lifestyles and help them make better decisions through different collaborative projects based on 3 pillars: nutrition, active life, and healthy habits. We appreciate the work of CGF and also want to thank to the companies supporting the initiative: Allen Group, Bimbo Group, Colgate, Danone Group, Johnson & Johnson, Kellogg's, Mars, Nestle, Procter & Gamble, Walmart de Mexico. Here are some of our allies and donors from the different sectors. Of course, we work mostly with companies of the food sector, but not in an exclusive way. We work with different companies, financial companies, technology, academia, universities, and some others. We are making together a very important difference. Sustainability and Agenda 2030 are so important right now that I want to share with you that our chairman and BAMX are leading Zero Hunger Working Group. making a special analysis and the definition of new strategies to move the needle of zero hunger in our country. Consumer Goods Forum is one of our leaders in the pillar of communication in this group, because we will have a high impact campaign to get everyone involved in solving hunger issue. There are other 4 pillars to promote full self-sufficiency: nutritional education, food access, and the reduction of food loss and waste with the collaboration of 60 actors from private sectors, NGOs, and academia. And of course, innovation is also important for us. That is why we decided to lead the first voluntary agreement to avoid food loss and waste in Latin America, and we have named it Pacto por la Comida. We are working with different signatories to implement the largest Target Measure Act methodology that has been so successful in United Kingdom with our allies of GRAP. Consumer Goods Forum is also an active part of Pacto. CGF is really committed with our cause, and we thank you for that. Finally, I want to invite you to join BAMX through our website or through our social media to be part of the solution of food security and food loss and waste. Join as a donor, join as a volunteer, or the way you want to, but get active in this matter, knowing that food banking around the world is a life-changing option to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for the incredible work that you do in Mexico and through the Global Food Banking Network, a really cherished partner that we have, and hopefully in the future we can find a world where we're less dependent, but there's just so many vulnerable communities and countries all around the world, and you're just such a key part of reaching those communities and this beautiful girl on the screen. So thank you for all of the work that you do. Great, so we've come to the end of our presentations, and let's open it up for Q&A. So I'll kick us off. We've had a few come through, and I think Pablo, I'll go to you first. Very much, I think, around the Carulla example, and is that available in other banners across Grupo Éxito? Have you had consumer feedback already? And do you think people are, maybe this is for all of you actually, do you think people are ready to engage in this journey? We've a lot of kind of pressures and asks in our lives around health, around sustainability, and now we're coming with more food waste kind of challenges. So I'd love to get kind of your ideas on those 3 kinds of questions that have come through. If you have a question, pop them into the chat. So Pablo.
Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, as retailer, we are very driven by customers. So this video aimed specifically to reach them. And the main feedback that we have got, not only by our customers, actually by our own employees, is that this information is not well known. So not everyone is aware of this situation that happens with fruits and vegetables and other products as well. So what we are doing at the moment is spreading the message, taking it through as much customers as possible. It has an impact that is very interesting, because actually not only Ogilvy Colombia just released the information as well, but also their headquarters in London also took the information. So it's a way that was a disruptive process. It shows a different path, and also send that message that the responsibility is not only for those that are away of my own responsibilities. So I think that's a critical point. We still have many challenges, as I mentioned, Sharon. Releasing this sort of information put us on the spot. And with Ignacio, I have had this conversation multiple times. Sometimes in sustainability, when you speak about sometimes, then you are vulnerable to critics. If you are not talking about this, no one is, because people most of the times is not aware of this. But we are on the side that these are topics that we all should talk about. Éxito leads SDG number 2 in Colombia, zero hunger. So not only for the environmental points, which from the carbon perspective, from the biodiversity loss, from all this impact that has the food waste, but also on the social aspect that, in my opinion, as Tere was mentioning in her presentation, we all should be aware of the potential, the positive externality that this action has. So to not get long in my answer, but yeah, everyone is, I think that the ones who have seen it has a huge impact. Actually, I put it in my LinkedIn, and a lot of people has sent email, that direct message to me requesting for the information. I saw some of the chats as well. So this information is available not only for me, but for everyone who wants to spread the message. We launched this with Carulla brand, but of course we want to take it to all our brands in the company.
Brilliant, thank you, and thank you for that spirit of sharing. So everyone who's listening, yeah, it's the video is in the chat, and when we share this as well in the recording, we'll make sure that that is that's really, really inspirational. Santi, I'm going to come back to you. There's two questions for you. If you've had again feedback on kind of what you're doing and measurement and requests, have you had any feedback from suppliers? There was also a request. Do you have a risk assessment criteria about food waste classification, for example, nutrition, local, food safety, shelf life, stability? So what is your kind of risk assessment criteria that you use? So firstly, your suppliers and kind of feedback that you're getting on the leadership that you're taking, and do you have a risk assessment criteria that you could share?
Thank you, Sharon. No, right now we are not working in the measurement with suppliers. It's a plan to do it in the next years. And the nutritional point, yes, we hope not just to have the information on how many food we are saving, we also want to have the information of the nutritions, on the nutritions we are giving to people, because yes, we know we have a big portfolio of food, but we are going to begin with this process. And the idea, as I told you before, of working in Germinar, that is the process that we teach how to grow their own food. The idea is to complement what are the needs of the people we work with and how we can give them or help them to obtain these nutrients with our own food and with the food that we are going to teach them how to grow.
Thank you, Santiago. Maria Teresa, let me come back to you. A question around, you actually did mention it, Santi, or how you're working with food banks on helping capability building. And there's a question here for you around, does BAMX have projects to help improve other issues in cold chain, cold storage and communities without electricity or with poor electricity?
We have had some special collaborations and projects with some of our allies. I can remember in Chiapas, it was about electricity to provide a service to communities in living in poverty. So yes, we can do that. The very attractive formula for our allies is that we are always going to the community, that we organize them, that we define a special committee to improve their capabilities, their soft skills. They get the chance to be leaders of the community for a while, and then another people is coming to this committee. So the way that we work right there, it makes easier for our allies to improve and to implement this type of community interventions right there when it is needed. Sharon.
Great, thank you. And then I'll just stay with you if you can tell us what you think the future challenges are. Are you optimistic, or what do you see kind of as future challenges?
Well, we are food bankers and we are always optimistic, but future is challenging for all of us. Economic crisis is increasing the number of people living in hunger around the world. Experts are forecasting an important food scarcity scenario for this 2022. Right now, we are starting to see changes in the type of food being consumed because of the prices hike. With all of that, food bankers, we are looking for new ways to continue and increase our food rescue, because right now we are rescuing in Mexico less than 1% of all the food that is wasted annually. Working with our partners, we will increase this volume. And we want to have more people in our cause because they must know who we are, what we do, and why it's important to join us. That is my invitation that I just did. We're also continue working to improve laws in Mexico to recognize food as human right and to align efforts to provide food to everyone. The initiatives created by actors at Zero Hunger Working Group will be implemented in short term, and we will need resources to do that in order to complete that. So we are working on that. And finally, Sharon, technology with a more protagonist role in food banking model for operative and strategic purposes. I didn't mention before, but we operate food rescue in hotels and restaurants through an app and a platform. And the benefits of operating this way are cost and time effective for our donors. We even received the Innovation Award for our program Al Rescate back in 2019 at the Food Bank Leadership Institute. And of course, we will continue operating the voluntary agreement with new members. We realize that things won't get easier, but we are sure that we can build a world free of hunger and food waste. And we work for that every single day. I invite you to join us. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. And just in the last 2 minutes, there was another question on what advice would you have, Santiago and Pablo, for companies on the best place to start, maybe if they're not as far along in your journey, or your call to action or final word that you'd want to give to kind of retailers and manufacturers that are listening in today. So Pablo, let's go to you, and then to Santiago, and then we can wrap up today's session.
Sharon, I think my main recommendation will be measure. Like sometimes we just measure money, and this is the regular KPI on an industry. We start to measure differently. Volumes, amounts, suppliers, we need to think differently to tackle this issue. Sometimes we are used to live with this social and environmental issue and not be acting. So if you start to measure, then you start to realize that you can develop action plans. And there are many partners. I think what Tere has mentioned and her job, but there are also other actors that can help you to reach good landing process for avoiding and reducing the food waste loss.
Thank you, Santiago.
I'm totally agree with Pablo. The first step is to measure. We have 10 years of experience measuring things to have our report, and I think, and I'm sure because I was the person in charge of that, it's very challenging to have the information, because the amounts of food that is lost in our chain is small amounts of food. So then when you begin doing this process, you have a big amount of information. And when you see in the first time, you see, oh my God, what is this thing? How I'm going to analyze and begin. I think the FLW protocol is extremely detailed. So if you have some time, you can read it. It's like open your eyes to the world and begin because it's a pool of opportunities. Everything that you're going to take from this process is opportunities for your company, for people, and everything is low-hanging fruits when you begin measuring.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope those of you listening live or listening to the recording get some inspiration. Yeah, Ignacio's measurement is key, and love that measurement's not only money. So thank you so much, all of you, for your inspiration. And do reach out to us if you have any follow-up questions. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in today or listening in the future. And we'd be thrilled to get in touch with you, whether the Healthier Lives or Food Waste Coalitions of Action. Thanks for all your collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Ignacio, Santiago, and Tere. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.